Hi, here's Chris with a new tutorial. Today I show you how to change materials by using the object path value. So let's see how this works. Okay, let's see what we have. Our target is to animate the three lights here. The point is, all the lights are instances, especially the part here where the bulbs are placed. These are the small dots here, these are the bulbs. And as you can see, when I change one instance, all the other instances will be changed also. So what we have here is an object that is created by using geometry nodes. I'm distributing these bulbs here. It's this object here in this collection. And when I look at the object, you can see it's a small light, LED light. And this light is placed here on this area, on the circle area. And every object is an instance. So I save some time when I change something. The point also is all the instances, all the light bulbs has the same material. It's a LED light. And what I want to do is I don't want to create, for example, a red light material, an orange light, and a green light material, and also a switched off version like this one. So I don't want to separate the materials. I want to have one material and change inside this material, but the objects has to change by their own. So to do this, I'm using a special function in Blender. You can find it here in the object properties. It's called path index, and you can find it here in the relations tab. Well, there you can find also information like parent, the parent object of this mesh here, and so on. So what I have here is a path index. Maybe you didn't realize it because it's not used very often. But you can imagine this path index is connected to the mesh, to the object data. So it means every object can have a different path index number. So even if there are 3 instances, like in this example, every instance can have a different ID, okay? So for example, this one has 0. When I click on this one, I can switch it to 1, and you can see this 0 and this one has 1, even if the objects are instances and relate to each other. So I switch it back to 0 and we see what we can do now. So first we want to change the colors or prepare the colors we want in this material. At the moment we have this situation here. The bulbs are glossy or specular, a bit shiny because they are off and the bulbs are looking like bulbs maybe. Okay, this is this version. So I blend this off and we use this material later. Good. So the next part is, maybe I tell you what I'm doing here. I'm changing the LED light material, the material for this object here, for this one. Good. Anyway, I go back to the material. So first we prepare the colors. So what we can do, or what we do first, is we take the first color and the color will be red. Oops, wait, red. And we use for this an emission shader. So when I plug this shader here in, then we see all the bulbs get the same material or the same color. Why? Because the material here is assigned to all the bulbs. Okay, the bulbs are all the same because it's an instance and it's only one object. Good. So I switch the color to let's say red, because we need it for here for this top light. And then I have to know what path index is used for this object to switch this color on. Okay, so to see which kind of path index is used here for the object inside the material, I need a special node, and this node is called compare. Compare, and wait, it's in the math functions, yeah, and it's here, the math node, and we need the compare mode. This is what I want, the compare mode for the math node here. Good. And what I want to know is, I want to compare the information or the path index that is included in this object. So first, I need to know where the information comes from inside the material. So to read this information, I need another node, and the node is called object information, object info. And this node delivers some informations and also the object index. And this information is the very same value like this one. So at the moment you see here a 0 value, and the 0 value is here switched, and when I switch to 1, the output will be 1 here. To control or to check this, we plug this object index and output to the color to see if this is working like I explain it. So I plug it here in, and you see 0 is outputting here, it's coming out, and 0 means black. So we have an emission node that is set to black. So when I set this value here to 1, all the LED lights switch to white because the value is 1, and 1 means for colors white. And as we can see also is we do this only for this object, because every other object has a value of 0, even if there is the same material used. Okay, great, good. So what I do now is I want to check for the value of 1. So if we get a value of 1, then we switch to 0. Okay, so I go here and I check this information and plug it here into the first value, and the first value is the A value. To see the inputs or the needed data, you can go over the compare node and wait a bit, and then you see this tooltip, and you see what this node is doing. So the node is resulting a 1, so the number 1, if A and B, A is this one and B is this one, if A and B is true, so it means if both values are the same. So if A is here and B, this one, is the same, is 1, and this is the value we are looking for. Good. And if this value is true, then we get a value that is called 1, else we get 0. Okay, so to switch between colors, we now use a second color, a second node. We use a mixer node. So I add a mixer. This is a mixer, and what we want to do is the new mixer can have different modes, and we use the color mode. So what we want here is to mix between colors, and for this we use the factor element here. I move the red one to this place, and the black, or I make a pink one to have a better debugging information to this A value. So when I switch it this output, or when I plug this input here, then we see when I have 0, then we have this color. When I have red 1, we have this color. So this is very, very nice, because now we can do the following. We can switch with this output 0 or 1 the factor. So I plug it here into. So what happens now? The value here is 1, so it means we tell the mixer it have to show red. When I set it to 0, we tell the mixer to show pink. Okay, here you can see it. Very nice. And we use now this method to look for the other colors. So the other color will be now, wait, I plug it here, will be now orange. So I copy those both here. and we say we want to switch now to orange. Okay, 5, great. And this value have to be switched when the path index is set to 2. So I put here a 2 number, and when we get the number 2 of our index here, of our object index, right, our object index to 2, then it will be switched to this color. I plug it in, and I need, of course, the output here into the emission color. Correct. So when I switch to 2, we see the orange color. But also we can see when I switch to 1, we get again this pink. Why? Because we look just for the orange color here. So what to do if we want to switch to red when I have 1? We do the following. We don't use the pink color if this factor will be 0, this output. We use the output of this elements here. So I plug the result to A, and what happens now? We check first. We check for the object index, and we have now 1. So this means 1 means red. Red goes into A, and because this value is not 2, we see the A input, and the A input is red. So we see the result of this is red. Okay. And when we switch to 2, we see the orange result, this one, or yellow if you want. Good. Okay, great. So the next one will be green, and all works the same. We duplicate here this nodes. We go into the input here, go back, and maybe I switch my key press add-on on so you can see what I'm doing here. I forgot it, but I hope you know what I've done. Okay, so great. And now we switch to have green, and the green value will be 3. So when I switch to 3, like here, we get green. And if we switch to another value, we want to have the A value. So we plug this here into A. Very nice. So when I switch to 2, we get yellow or orange. 1, we get red. And 0, we get pink. Okay. So what we want now is, I don't want to have a pink LED bulb. I want to switch back to my principal material where the bulbs are neutral or off. So to do this, we switch between shaders. At the moment, we have the emission shader that is showing us our color. And this here is a principal shader that is showing us a switched or a neutral or off bulb. Yeah, switched off bulb. To do this, we don't use the mix color node to mix or to switch between shaders. We use another node that is called mix shader. I plug it here into this and plug this shader into this. So basically the mix shader node is working the same like the mix color node. So it mixes between 2 shaders and not between 2 colors. Good. So if we have the 0 here, this, then we get the A value, this here, this path, and we go to 1, we get this path or this output result. It's the principal shader. So we want to check again for the path index. So we plug this here in, and we connect the index again to this value. And now we want to check for 0. So when we have this index value 0, it have to switch to 1. Okay, if not, it have to switch to 0. So I plug this in, and now we have 0. When I go to 1, we get red, orange at 2, and green at 3. And if we have 4, it switches back to 4 because there's no value that we are checking for 4. We get color information that is here, the pink one. Okay, we could look here for a different one. For example, if the value is bigger than, let's say, 3, then we switch to this principled shader. That can be done. We do it. Okay, so let's say we place it here. Okay, and we say check for our path index and switch to the shader here, the principled shader. If the value is greater than 3. Okay, so I plug it in here, and I say I want, if it's not greater than 3, I want to have this element. Okay, so I now go to this, and what we have now is we have the value of 4. 4 is bigger than 3, so we switch to 1 and tell the system use the principled shader. If the value is 3, we get this result, and we also check for 0. There is no 0, so we get this result here, and we get green, and 2 is orange, and 1 is red. And we go to 0, we get the principled shader again, because it's 0 and it will be switched here. Very nice. So we can go up to 200 or so and we get this result, but if we get to 3, we get green, for example. I hope you understand what I've done here. So great. So this is checking the shader, and yeah, okay, I move it a bit higher like this and make some information here so you can maybe see it better. Okay. Good. Very nice. Good. So this is the tree. What we have here is the area where we check for the colors, and we plug the output of the colors into the emission shader. Here is the area where we check for 0. So if the value is 0, we get off bulbs. And here is a security or a safe area where we say if the value is bigger than 3, then we switch again back to the bulbs. Okay? Very good. Good. So great. Now you have all the colors, or we have all the colors we need. So we set the first object to 1 because we want to have it red. This one to 2, we have orange, and this one to 3. And again, to remember, all these objects are instances, and they use the same material here for the bulbs. So this is a reason why I can change the path index. And the path index is based on the object and not on the instance. So we get an information from the object and control it here by using the object info to control the shaders here in the mixer node. So I hope you like this tutorial and give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you a very nice day. Bye bye.